Welcome to Study Loop.
Total cost of textbooks for each student for the term was collected from 36 students. We want to create a histogram for this data. Well, to help with this visually, I'm going to use the Desmos graphing calculator, and I'm going to just enter the data into a list. So I can call this list L squared off brackets. This is just going to help visualize. 120, 120, 130, 145, 170, 210, 210, 225, 235, 250, 250, 285, 295, 310, 310, 315, 320, 320, 325, 325. In the third row, 330, 335, 345, 345, 355, 370, 375, 380, 390, and 405. So we might be missing some data because there's only 30 elements here, and I'm only counting and only see 30 from the question. So there are 10 columns by 3 rows, unless I'm missing something. And if I am missing something, then you can do this in a similar way and adjust as needed. Here's what histograms are. They're like bar charts, but with decimals, for instance, you can say I have like a histogram of L. And you need to get it depending on what you want it to look like. Since these go by fives, you might want, for instance, the width to go by 5, or you might want it to go by 10. You might want it to be not centered, but off to the left. That's up to you, but I'm going to center it. Depending on how spread out you want your data, what you want it to look like, maybe you want to go much more than 10. You can see what 20 looks like. You can see what 25 looks like. We can see what 50 looks like. And we're getting more interesting the wider we create those. And so, for instance, what that would mean is if we're creating widths of 50, then from 100 to 150, for instance, there's a count of um, 3. So let me get a good visual here. The x-axis, which would be the price, we see goes from 120 to 405. So maybe we want to see that from like just 100 to 450. And that the y-axis does not need to go down much or up much because they're just counts. Let's go to 10 maybe. And so this would be, for instance, a potentially good visual for a histogram. From 100 to 450 by 50, this would tell us that there are 4 from 100 to 500. Those are the first four elements: 120, 120, 130, and 145. This is the count. There's one value between 150 and 200. That's 170. Between 200 and 250, there are four of them. Between 250 and 300, there are four pieces of data. Between 300 and 350, there are 11. That would go up to 11. Between 350 and 400, there are five, and between 400 and 450, there is one. That would be an example of a histogram here. If you need to add the six more that I don't see here, then you could um, adjust your histogram accordingly. Hope that's helpful. Good luck.